Hey everyone, welcome back to another bonus episode. We're doing yet another, well I say yet another, it's our second world building episode. I'm joined for this one by Amy, who you'll all hopefully recognise from our currently running Call of Cthulhu storyline. How's it going?
Good. Hi guys.
Amy and I today, actually, for those who maybe didn't hear our first world building episode, we are going to be doing some, I don't know, would you call this writing? Sort of imagineering?
No, world building's fine, because this is a map in a world that you've created.
Yeah.
Started to create, and we're just taking a little bit of it and filling it in.
Yeah.
Giving it some muscle and.
We're basically taking the D&D world that we put on our D&D episodes. We play in a custom homebrew world called Valana. Those who tuned in last time to our world building one will remember that Eden and I gave a sort of overview of the whole place and sort of came up with a few details about some of the larger towns that mostly the characters in our D&D episodes haven't been to yet. And we're kind of sticking with the whole sort of coming up with some details for a place that the characters haven't been to today, aren't we? We're actually going to be looking today at a Dwarven town, which was mentioned briefly earlier on in the run. When would that have been? No, it was at the start of the last story arc, I think. I mentioned
it. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was in episode 1 of your second season.
Second, third. Well, either way. Yeah, the start of the last story arc. The characters were given a recommendation that if they were ever going north through the dwarven town of Shalefast, to look in on a pub owned by a human named Meg. This was by a tiefling called Osmond gave them this recommendation. They promptly turned around and walked the opposite direction, but that was for story reasons. That wasn't because it's nothing to do with the pub.
Meg should hope not.
Yeah. Well, we should give a little bit of background then. So both Osmond and Meg are characters that you and I played on Curse of Penance.
Yes, on the lovely Penance RPG.
Yeah, and I had, because I'm incredibly uncreative, dropped Osmond into the Pretending with Dice story as well and didn't even think of a timeline about it. And then I had to, in my head, because I was like, no, it's the same character, I had to figure out continuity of like, okay, so when is one of them set, when is one of them, which one came first? And I kind of settled on that the Curse of Penance stuff had happened before the Pretending with Dice stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so then when we were writing our character epilogues and stuff, I had to come to you and we'd ended the spoilers. Okay, we should put a big spoiler thing on here for people who haven't heard Curse of Penance yet.
Yes, but if you haven't, go listen.
Yes,
and skip to so and so seconds.
Yeah, skip forward about 20 seconds. We kind of ended with Osmond, Meg, and Lexa's character Rosie deciding to leave Barovia behind, and I had to come to you guys when we were doing the epilogues and be like, look, I've kind of already got this character showing up in somewhere, do you mind coming with him? Sort of thing.
Actually, I was very grateful too, because I was like, I have no idea what Meg would do after she escaped the clutches of Barovia.
Yeah,
no idea. We should just be happy to be alive.
We'd already talked about our character starting a band, but I'd already
yes.
Yeah. So our characters kind of left Barovia behind them, and I'd written out this sort of again for listeners, we're going to be referring to pages that we've got on our World Anvil page, which I'll link again in descriptions and whatnot. I've written a character page for Osmond, and I can't remember how, I'm just going to get out the page up on my screen now just to refer back to. I'd written kind of that he was part of an event, and I was kind of trying to sort of obscure it a little bit, so I wasn't just like, hey, it wasn't super obvious that we'd just played a Curse of Strahd campaign, and I was like, and this character was in it, sort of thing. So I kind of put him down as being in an event called we were the prisoners trapped in a demi-plane. sort of thing. So I didn't ever name it as Barovia. I was just like, they were transported to a demiplane somewhere. And then I've got it in the timeline written that we came back about 2 years before the D&D characters on Pretending with Dice ran into Osmond. Okay. It gave a little bit of a sort of vague bit of leeway there to kind of play with the events that we'd come up with. It's been a while. I can't remember exactly how we said it, but they played in a band for a while, and then all just decided to sort of go their own way, didn't they, or something like that?
Yeah, I think we travelled north. We travelled to like the spa area.
Oh yeah,
that you mentioned.
That was where we came in.
Yeah. That's. And then we formed the band and then travelled north, and then I think we all met in Shalefast, and then we all kind of split after that. Yeah. And Meg remained in Shalefast. So
Rosie was going back to the army, and Osmond went off and did other stuff. The spa town, that's going to be the subject of one of these episodes at some point, because I've got some fun ideas for that. It's kind of in the area of like it's sort of over the other side of the lake from this big city, and so I might just sort of fold it into that episode whenever we get to it. But I had this. It's just basically like a hot spring town, like, because it was like. It was a real weird idea of like, hey, we come out of Barovia, we're all messed up. Let's just chill at a spa.
I just have this image of all three of them in like a big like steam, you know, those like Japanese steam baths things.
Oh, well,
and they're all just like, and they're all just sitting in the tub, like just like finally like unleashing all the like torture and pain, and like they're like crying, or they're like being anxious, or like thinking about all the crap we did in Barovia, and they're like all having their moment.
It's like a filler episode in an anime or something.
Yeah, it's like a little clip, like a little Easter egg clip of them at the end. And they're just in this tub having a moment, like the shawarma one in
at the end of Avengers.
Yeah, at the end of Avengers. They're all just sitting having shawarma, and the people in the background are cleaning up.
I did kind of cheat a little bit when I was writing my the epilogue for Curse of Strahd, because obviously like we were both all burned and messed up and everything, and I kind of cheated a bit because I was like, well, we're going back to my world where there is like regular D&D magic and everything.
And I could naturally heal.
But that was the thing. I was like, Osmond's a tiefling, he's got fire resistance. So it was like the second he stepped out of Barovia, he started healing properly. But like, yeah, not so lucky for Meg, I think.
I think Meg is like properly like she has no hair on one side, like at all. Like it doesn't grow.
So she's like properly
properly, because she was set on fire so many times.
It happened a lot.
It happened nearly every episode.
Yeah.
Literally nearly every episode, people, and probably every episode since, because I am cursed as a player. I am cursed.
We need to stop using fireballs. It's just it's a problem.
But they're so useful.
It's true.
So yeah, I kind of imagine her like being really unhappy that he's gotten his good looks back.
It's like the second his scabs start healing up and everything, she's just there like, what is happening? Like
she's horribly scarred on one side, I think, properly, because I do remember like tubs burning her on one side.
It kept happening, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got hit by fireball, so I imagine like at least one side of her is completely like all that leathery kind of skin, which is so she's just gonna be like, it'll make people think twice about trying to steal stuff in my pub.
Yeah, I kind of want to draw like a grizzled sort of like veteran Meg sort of character portrait, but I don't think I'm quite up to the, you know, like I can imagine it, but yeah.
I always imagine like at the start of Curse, she was this like human, gorgeous, like redhead, curly hair, rogue, stealthy, and because she's dyslexic like myself, got the wrong name, and now is some horrible, horrific burn victim and victim of Barovia. She's just been tossed back into the world. It's just like, I'm a shadow of my former self, but I'm going to have a pub, damn it. And I'll drink my sorrows and be happy.
Yeah. Well, that's the long way around of saying that today we're going to be looking at the pub and the town that it's in, which is a town called Shalefast. This was kind of arbitrarily... okay, so I'll give a bit of a background on the town. I did way before I started the podcast, I was playing a D&D campaign, which was sort of... I was DMing it again, and we kind of used a sort of really early version of the world map that I've got. I did mention this in Eden's episode, but it was kind of a crudely drawn, it was an outline of a coast with a few towns on it. And I was kind of like, oh, all the dwarf ones would be sort of vaguely mining related. So Shalefast was the one I came up with for that. They did briefly go there in that campaign, but it was like a super just brief sort of stop off in between, two places. So there's really, loads to build on there. But when I sort of started doing the podcast, I was like, okay, well, we'll flesh out. I'm happy with the map, happy with the setting, we'll just build it from here. So I kind of thought, we'll keep the towns in, and I don't know how I landed on Shalefast as where Meg had a pub, other than just for, the idea that it's a town that I've kind of mentioned before when running the game, and it was like, okay, well, it's sort of near to where they are, so maybe we'll drop it there, rather than just dropping some random corner of the map and there's no possibility of it being run into.
I don't think she would have enjoyed being some backwater town in the middle of nowhere. She probably would have wanted to go to a city anyway.
Yeah, but a bit of a finger on the pulse of sort of that, what's going on around. Yeah,
because I remember from what you said and what I've read so far that the city is quite bustling as well with industry.
It's not a huge town. It's kind of, because it's a sort of dwarven. It's an outpost really, but it's sort of sat on this sort of main trade road that goes from the northern capital of the whole country to the sort of the next big city in the south.
Yeah, so it's quite a strategic trade.
Yeah. So there's a lot of through traffic going from north to south. There's sort of two main ways of getting from the northern coast sort of area, because there's a big sort of mountain range in the middle. There's either going upriver, which is obviously awkward going upriver, and it's a bit out of the way, or they can take this trade road through the mountains, and Shalefast is pretty much on the trade road basically. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Well, we should probably start with the pub then, if that's then we can sort of build out from there. Now, you gave me a name a little while back for the pub, but we're gonna stick with that. I take it, are we?
Yeah. So, it's the Fantastic Squeeze Box, and she's happy she's gone. I imagine that she'd probably serenade people at some point during the day.
Oh yeah, I mean, she's got to keep her eye in on that squeeze box play. Yeah. So quiet moments when it's not too busy.
Yeah. She'll just stand at the end of the bar and idly play a little tune. Remembering good band times.
Yeah. Lamenting the loss of one side of her face. Okay, so I've kind of my vague idea then of the kind of general sort of architecture in the town is it's kind of big sort of, everything's made of these big sort of chunky, thick granite blocks basically. It's not too, there's no sort of fancy elven nonsense. It's big chunky stone.
Yeah, I kept imagining that the dwarves are sturdy, stout folk. I always imagine that it's quite blocky, that their architecture would be like that.
Yeah, a lot of cubes. It's a Minecraft.
Look at that grout.
Yeah.
Look at that mortar.
I did kind of outline, and this isn't live yet on World Anvil or anything, although we're sort of, I will amend it with anything we come up with today. I've kind of outlined a sort of general idea for the tavern. I'll read you what I wrote.
Okay.
So I'll just read what I wrote, and this is going to sound really awful. Fantastic Squeeze Box is a tavern in the dwarven town of Shalefast, owned and run by Meg, a human ex-adventurer. By no means the only tavern in Shalefast, the Fantastic Squeeze Box is certainly the only tavern in the primarily dwarven town owned and run by a human. Known for its high, in brackets for dwarves, ceilings, it's often frequented by non-dwarf travellers passing through Shalefast and by those dwarves who want a taste of what it's like to drink in a human bar. Like most buildings in Shalefast, the tavern's constructed from sturdy stone blocks cut directly from the mountain. Outwardly, it looks a lot like most of the other buildings in the town, but inside it's quickly evident that it's been specifically constructed with taller folks, with a ceiling that humans will find, a ceiling height that humans will find a little bit more comfortable. That's pretty much all I've written for it, which is, that leaves a lot of room for.
Knowing Meg, though, I do think she would have like a little snug just for like.
Okay, so
dwarves.
Not to. So really not to.
No, because it's a high dwarf local.
Yeah,
so
it's basically
I would
a
imagine that
dwarf town.
So the passing trade is fine, but if, for example, like a snowdrift pulls in and it blocks the road or something, she'll need like a local income. For me, from a business point of view, it would be a bit silly to. From Meg's like business point of view, it'd be a bit silly to exclude quite a bit of her market for trade. Like, no, let's have everybody, but you have your own little private snug, so you don't have to mess with the.
So maybe there's like a front bar and a back bar. So like the back bar has got the taller ceilings, at the front bar is like every other building in the town.
Yeah, but they could there'd be like a door in the middle where they could like mingle as well. Like if they wanted to like, a dwarf wanted to go into the
no one's being
section.
excluded.
Don't stereotype the. No. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
stranger things happened.
That's.
I do kind of imagine this like bar going around the middle. There's like one end and then the other end or something like that. I don't know.
So maybe the ceiling is on a slant. So one end of the bar, the ceiling's is only like 6-7 foot tall, and then the other end of the bar, it just slowly goes up to about 10 foot. So
we serve giants here too.
Well, you're not excluding anybody that way,
I suppose we could always have a hatch for extra tall. Yeah.
I don't know how tall is. I mean, probably. I was gonna say how tall is that, but it's my homebrew world. We can just say. I don't know. You probably don't see too many like super tall people, though. I mean, 10-foot tall ceiling is, I think, basically, and it's like a standard room, right?
I suppose it depends what race as well.
Yeah,
there's so many races in D&D that I don't know how tall things.
I usually sort of, the way I kind of sort of categorize it in my mind is like humans average about 6 feet, dwarves top out at about 5 feet, and halflings top out at about 4 feet, and is it gnomes? Gnomes are like 2 to 3 feet kind of thing. I mean, that's just, I don't know. It's probably not supported by the players' handbooks and things. That's just kind of how I take a foot off each time to go like human, dwarf, halfling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, I think it would have like the bar would definitely have a section for like dwarves to come in. And
oh yeah, maybe 2 doors, or maybe there's just there's one door which is dwarf size, and anyone bigger has to sort of stoop down to get in.
Actually, you know what? I think it'd be funnier just to keep have a double door, but have it dwarf size, and that's the only door. Oh, so yeah, it's dwarf size and it's double, but like people have to, if anyone's taller than the dwarf, they're gonna have to lean over to get in. Yeah, sort of thing. That's quite funny. As that would be Meg's homage to her local. Like, here, my door is the same size as your door. And everybody is taller has to bend in. Look, I even have to bend to get in. This is how much I like your town. Come, have a beer. Well, okay, so with this in mind then, I can probably get rid of... I only have one other note on this, which we can probably discount now, which was that it was sort of under the sort of history tab, I just sort of half started writing a thing that maybe
this was still in mind. I was still thinking that the ceilings would be higher. I'd written that it was constructed as like an extension to the quarters of the like human emissary, and then when he died, it just sort of sat out unused and eventually got turned into a pub kind of thing. But that is then sort of, you know, going with the fact that it'd be more human scale. But
trying to think what other kind of building it could have been.
Like just like a storehouse or something. I've got in mind that the buildings are like the surface buildings on the in the town are kind of there's only like one level above ground, but then they've all got like 2 or 3 stories underneath. But well, 2 or 3 at least, and if it's a tavern, you know, you got depends if this is what you think Meg would go for, you know, rooms for weary travelers and things like that. So sort of like an underground hotel.
Welcome to your grave for this evening. Your tomb. Tomb's probably better. Yeah, tomb's a better word.
Yeah.
Welcome to the crypt.
The tomb levels are down below.
Your sleeping quarters are below. What do you mean below?
Like go down those stairs. Yeah.
This is Dwarven town.
Yeah. Okay. So
I imagine there'd probably be a couple of rooms underneath. I think probably like an old storeroom or something.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine it being like a small, it's not a massive pub.
No.
But like quite a homely kind of. It's like you're kind of local, but it's large enough for you to have a comfortable kind of drink on a quiet night, but it can get heaving.
Yeah.
Sort of speak.
Well, the idea I've had with the town in general is that it, like for Dwarven standards, it's quite young because it's only been there for a couple of centuries. But I thought maybe the buildings that, like this one, have sort of rotated they've been different things over the time.
Yeah, like as the cities grow and they've just changed use over time. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it could have been like some storage for like stone or wood or
and then it was used for another thing, and then eventually it's become a pub, and you know, with
Meg saw an opportunity.
Yeah. And like maybe the dwarves look at it as like, you know, humans don't live quite as long as dwarves, so they're just looking at it as, for now this is the pub run by the human, and then at another point it'll be something else, and yeah.
I do imagine though she does like brew her own. So she probably
she's got a
benefit
bit of a homebrew going on.
Yeah, definitely. Barovia's best. Best at Barovia, even.
Is that is that what you want to go with for the name of the homebrew?
No, we'll just go for Barovia's best.
Barovia's best. Okay, yeah. That's quite good. We should come up with some labels.
Please? Can I have a BB?
Pint of BB. Don't put a straw in it. Yeah.
There's a Kill Bill reference for you. Baby.
Wow, I need to rewatch that again. It's been a while. I got the reference, but you know, I just man.
Oh.
Okay, so we're thinking so the Fantastic Squeeze Box has got a big bar in the centre with a sloping ceiling.
Yep.
Has it got, well, obviously Meg was in the band and that briefly. Has she got like room for entertainers and things in there? Or
she's got a small space, but it can be like, I imagine it's kind of like, you know, those like Irish pubs where they have like a local like folk band come in and they're literally like crammed around a table.
Yeah, there's just like a little stage in the corner.
It's kind of, I'd imagine it'd be kind of like that, but it's also used as like seating area and stuff. But if there's like if like someone's came up and going, oh, can I pay for the space for like something, she'll be like, what do you need it for?
Yeah.
She's like, no, you don't get the space before I know what you're using it for. So, like, no.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, so I think I can picture that quite clearly. Like, it's basically like the size of like two. Like you could just like if you're putting like a modern band on, you could fit a drum kit and like everybody would be stood awkwardly in front of the drum kit, like right up against it, and that's about the size of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I've played in places like that. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So overall, then, it's not a very big place. It could be quite claustrophobic unless you were a dwarf, which most of the clientele probably are. And okay, and there's a few rooms down below, but that's definitely not the focus, really.
No.
Okay.
I mean, she'll take paying guests, but she's kind of like a bit. I imagine like Meg likes to know what kind of people live under her house, kind of thing. She's like, I've been through so much crap, dude. I don't.
No time for halfling wizards.
I've no time for crazy people in my house and where I live and work.
Yeah,
so
if she knows them, she'll rent them the rooms out, but she's withholding the right to refuse service.
Oh my god, I bet you she's got like some permanent lodger, like Varric in Dragon Age, like just like permanently rents out a room and lives like in her bar, and she's just like, yeah, that's Sandy.
He's the live-in bard kind of thing.
He thinks he's a poet. His poems are shit.
Oh, so let's come up with what's Sandy's deal?
Meg hates him. She really hates him. She thinks he's a pathetic loser because he's
a dwarf. I take it.
Yeah, he's a dwarf.
Okay.
He's a dwarf who wants to be a poet.
Maybe he comes from
more.
Yeah, but maybe he comes from like a super wealthy dwarf family, so he always pays on time.
Oh god! Now I have images of them like being friends with Frankie, and Meg hates Frankie as well.
Well, hold on. That's whether Frankie survives Plummet.
Yeah, that is whether. Well, maybe Frankie's already been through here. We don't know.
Maybe Plummet's set after this. This is so we can play with the timeline. So nobody's character's dead yet.
That's true. Very
Barry's
true.
one character wasn't turned into a giraffe yet for one episode.
God. All I could think of was Rick and Morty during that episode.
Oh yeah, it got a bit weird, didn't it?
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah. So Sandy's got the one room, but he always pays on time. So that's why she can't. She gets annoyed by his poetry. And like
because he pays for spaces. He pays for spaces, and she like begrudgingly lets him have a space to read his horrific poetry, and then has to like stitch him up afterwards.
Read his slash fiction. Maybe the reason she doesn't kick him out is because he pays more than her asking rate.
Probably, yeah.
So
he's got some like secret like link to the the Dwarven underground.
Okay. And
she has to like look after him. Oh, that's what he could be. He could be like the underground boss's son.
Yeah, he's like the third son.
Meg has to and Meg has to babysit him. Meg's been paid to babysit him, and that's why she can afford to buy the squeeze ball. That's what happened.
Yeah, she's been paid off by the mob.
Yeah.
Oh, this just took a turn.
Yeah, but that's all she does. That's all she does for the mob is like look after.
Oh, she just to look after this guy.
Yeah, because if she does have a problem, she could just like say, "There's this dude around the pub," because this is where Sandy lives. It's like you don't want, and Meg can be like, "There's this dodgy dude in the pub that I can't seem to get rid of," or "There's this guy that's looking a bit shifty," or "These group that are looking a bit shifty." If they're like annoying her or like Sandy or like being a twat, she could just be like, "Can you come and deal with these people?" And like within like I don't know something.
They're very efficient.
Hour or something
mob.
like they'll like be swiftly escorted out by strangers,
and they're never seen again. Weirdly.
Well, no, it depends. It depends. Meg doesn't really.
She doesn't ask.
It's only if she's like suspicious of like if they've got ill intentions.
Okay, so she's not just like using the mob as bouncers, just like anybody who's causing a ruckus gets.
I can imagine she's not going to like systematically whack people for the sake of them. She's not going to get them whacked at all. No, that's just cruel. Only the people that deserve it and threaten her business or threaten her livelihood.
Yeah. Okay.
Like actually blow up part of her bar. Then she's going to. Like,
oh yeah, it's got to be like a serious. For blood. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's got to be something like serious. Like if they break furniture, then it's like, can you like just give them a soft warning? She'll make the point of like being like, you can give them a soft warning or a hard warning.
Soft warning is only losing a couple of teeth.
Soft warning is maybe like waking up alive but naked in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they chuck him in the river.
Yeah, bound.
That's the soft warning. There's only a 50-50 chance of drowning.
Only a 50-50. He's given a chance.
I like those odds. Well, now, okay, so now, I feel like the Dwarven mob has got to become a thing now. That's its whole other thing. But I like the idea of Sandy as like, maybe he's got like no interest in doing mob stuff. Like Sandy is like fully just about the poetry.
I imagine fiction. Like he's like, I don't know why, but there's a character in Monty Python and the Grail, and he's like the Lord's son.
Oh yeah, I know exactly that.
And he's his father's like forcing him to get married, and he's like, "Look out there! All of this will be yours."
He starts singing. He's like, "No! Stop singing! Stop! None of that."
yeah. It's like huge disappointment in his father, but because he's his son, he has to like look after him.
He doesn't want him in the house anymore. So he's paid to have him put up in what he's saying is a luxurious room, but is really just like he's paid the father's paid Meg like over the odds to, just deal with him.
He's like the brainless Tyrion Lannister to Tywin Lannister. Yeah. Really, he has not a brain.
I was going to say he's like the stupidest Weasley, but that's not really how any of them are written in the books, is it? I mean, which is the one that like joins the ministry and then is kind of a dick? Percy.
That's Percy.
Yeah, but he's not like an idiot though.
No, he's like all the one for the rule.
Yeah,
I'm a head boy. Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
I imagine they're kind of like a big smuggling. Like they make most of their money from smuggling things. Because I'd imagine that there's an awful lot of like stuff coming out of like the mines that could.
Plus, they're on the trade road as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they can get a hold of a lot of things.
I've been replaying Dragon Age Inquisition recently.
Yes, I noticed.
Yeah, are you thinking that the Dwarven mob are kind of like the Carter in that? So they're like
I wouldn't
they're
say
a bit
the
more
Carter,
sinister, though, aren't they?
Yeah, the Carter. I would say more. They're like more kind of Kirkwall and the Coterie.
Yeah.
They're more kind of like that because that's more of like a trading. Because they're
more on the smuggling end of things than like just general.
Because you've got
stuff.
guilds and factions section. You could have like got the Dwarven Trade Guild, which is like the legal side, but then you could have like different mafias or like cartas or guilds.
Maybe the
fighting for the underground.
Maybe
the
Dwarven Trade Guild is kind of like the legitimate sort of side of things when it comes to that. But they've got like it's made up of families and. Like at least the High Council or whatever is made up of families, and some of them are just they've got a bit of side business. Maybe that's
or they can be bribed by different.
And that's how they get away with operating like they have in Shalefast, is because technically the head of the family is a legitimate businessman in the Dwarven Trade Guild.
I'd imagine it wouldn't be totally corrupt though. Like there would be like a kind of a healthy balance, but you could have like times where. There's infighting. Yeah,
they've just got strong thoughts about not paying tax sometimes.
Nobody likes to pay tax. But we all have to pay tax.
Yeah. No, but I mean, the strength of these thoughts is so much that they're, a little bit mafia-y.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of mafia, but like more like thieves and smuggler guild. or like different like small factions trying to like carve a bigger foothold over like the trade of certain goods or something.
Yeah,
because you could have a lot of like plots that intertwine like different factions at some point. If they're like visiting a city, they could get involved with one of the guilds, maybe.
I have been kind of I've been kind of thinking about that with the with the town itself. We've kind of got an outline for the pub, so that's sort of good. Should we sort of look a bit more into what the town's like in general then?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember exactly, because I've 100% lost my notes from when I was running that old campaign. It's in some notebook buried somewhere upstairs, which, you know, I can't be asked to go get now. But I vaguely remember that there was the main thing that the people went to, there's a big mine, kind of like big entrance into the side of the mountain, and then there's a load of industry goes on inside the mountain. There's like smokestacks sticking out of the side of the mountain and stuff. But they never went in there. All they did was go to the pub, stop off, and then briefly try to sell some. This is what happened. They interrupted some orcs who were stealing from a dwarven trade caravan a little bit up the road, and instead of delivering the goods back to their rightful owner, they decided to try and sell them back to the rightful owner, which didn't go particularly well, because they're dwarves and they know their own stuff when they see it.
They know their shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they briefly went in the dwarven trade hall, and then they had to do a runner, essentially.
Yeah, because they would have been clapped in irons by the dwarves for illegal selling of stolen goods.
Yeah, which was this is completely unrelated to the world building side of things, really. But they neatly, with that plan, managed to sidestep the two separate plot hooks that I'd had written, both of them. The first one was that they were meant to follow the orcs back to like their like home village, and there was going to be some like bigger plot relevant stuff happening there. They just didn't do that, and then they were meant to and then when they didn't, I was like, okay, so they'll take the stuff back to the dwarves and they can make some new friends with the dwarves, which they then didn't. So it didn't go well, basically. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they didn't really have a really good relationship with dwarves to start with, so I didn't think they were going to end it.
Well, one of the party members was a dwarf as well, which was kind of, I thought, you
think that like softened the experience a bit, but no.
That said, though, I think this was the one time, because that player was not huge on like the sort of more role play type social interaction. I was trying to get all of them to kind of come out of their shells a little bit. And I think her being a dwarf did play into, like, I think she did have her character get off with someone in the pub. It was just like another dwarf, and obviously it wasn't Meg's pub at that point. It was just a nondescript, like, we're going to the pub. I didn't get that far into details, but that was a weird. I don't remember why we did that, but
I do imagine that there's like little booths as well, like
seating in the in the pub. Okay,
yeah.
Maybe we'll do I'll draw I could do it like a map, couldn't I? Like a battle map type thing. That'd be fun. Yeah, I'm gonna put that up with this episode. I say that now, I will forget. But if not, I can sketch something out and send it to you. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, that's your homework.
Yeah. Yay, yeah. I have homework.
So yeah, that's another long way of saying that the only other detail I kind of had sort of pre-written for the town, other than like a big mine complex, is this sort of big trade hall type thing. And I kind of had it vaguely in mind that it's sort of a lot of the dwarves who are sort of mining down below, and that the families themselves, the sort of trading families, are fairly much, kind of independent entities. So the trade hall, there's a lot of people like, not like, I'm not thinking of it it's a little bit like a WoW auction house, but more in a case of they're all kind of pitching, like, we've got this best quality, best quality iron ore here. We've got this many lots for sale, that kind of thing. Yeah,
like a proper like open market, sort of like with like the stalls shouting their prices and calling out for trade and things like that. Yeah, I imagine that. Would you have it? Is it inside the hall, or is there an outside like cobbled area for like maybe animals and things? Because I imagine if they're like, because it's a trade, then that animals would probably come through as well. So
Yeah.
you probably have a section like that too.
I'm thinking it's got kind of a bit of a sort of off-road sort of stables sort of area. But it being dwarves, it's kind of the most of the trade hall is like a hall. So there's like a really big sort of one-story building, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, you know, why be outside when you can be inside?
I suppose, because I always sometimes think that if like miners and kind of things, they spend so long in the dark that coming outside be like, oh, there isn't outside.
Yeah.
I just have this idea of like, there's like, I'd imagine they'd have a festival.
A festival?
Yeah. Like they'd have like an square or something like that. Because that could double as like your farmer's market.
I think that maybe that's a separate thing. Maybe there is like there's the square of the square of celebration. But like like business is business and should be conducted behind closed doors. Maybe that's kind of like the philosophy sort of thing. Like they're like, we mine this underground, so we'll sell it inside.
Yeah. That works.
But it is just like a buying and selling place. But there's a lot of like warehouses and storehouses. A lot of the buildings in town are maybe them, and each you know trading family has got their own. This is I don't know. I've written what have I got? I have written a name. What is it? The mine. Okay, this is what I've written on the Shalefast World Anvil page. Just as the end, the mine complex is owned and operated by the Dwarven Trade Guild, which we haven't really. Yeah, we've sort of started fleshing out a little bit. But the town's mayor is High Master Thivus Blackshield. So maybe he's the leader of the local guild chapter. So maybe the guild. He's just sort of like the council leader for the town for the guild.
The chairman of like his kind of like voted in kind of.
Yeah,
like the chair. He holds like the deciding vote basically if there's like a stalemate or something. Yeah,
so he's called the mayor, but he's not so much a mayor so much as like the deciding vote, like you say.
Official.
Yeah. So, but
they're
maybe
elected within the Dwarven thing, I would imagine.
So, but maybe he's Thivus Blackshield, so maybe there's the Blackshield warehouses. So his family's sort of complex has got their own section, and I don't know. I can't come up with a bunch of names. That's not for today. We're not doing that today. Yeah, I like that idea. So, I mean, other than so we got three sort of points of interest there. We got Meg's pub, we got the trade hall, and then there's the square of celebration. We can come up with a better name for that. What should we call that?
I don't know. You could probably have it named after some, like the founder of the city.
Oh wait, no. What's the dwarven god? Is it Moradin, or am I thinking? Is that WoW again? That's WoW, isn't it? I'm gonna have to Google it. My Dungeon Master guy's next door. Dwarf god. Oh, it is Moradin. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay. Pull that out of nowhere. So maybe it's like Moradin Square or something.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Squares. I mean, it is a square, but maybe something a little bit grander sounding.
Oh, you could call it the Foundry because that's where it's the founding of the city, and they have like forges, mine.
I quite like that.
Call it the
and it's kind of right in front of the big entrance, sort of to the mountain, sort of thing.
Yeah, you could have like the mountain in the background, and directly like in like the pyramids of Egypt, and they've got like their causeways.
Yeah, exactly like that.
And then like at the end of the causeway is kind of, or like the street or whatever is the like I don't know, the statue of Moradin or
so maybe Moradin's Foundry or something.
Yeah.
And then, so maybe there's like a giant. So there's and then this is also that. So maybe like facing the entrance to the mountain is the temple to Moradin.
Yeah.
In the square is then in between the temple and the mountain.
Yeah, because everybody loves their symbol.
Yeah, and in the center of the square is the is like a big anvil or something.
Yeah, an anvil in water or something like that. You have to make it like
a fountain.
Yeah, like a fountain, an anvil in water, and it's a fountain.
Yeah.
So you have to make it pretty as well.
Oh yeah. Dwarves, people say they're not interested in aesthetics, but yeah, it's more of an engineering marvel than like a aesthetically pleasing. It's pretty, but you got to it's prettier if you can appreciate the engineering that's gone into it.
Yeah, people mistake it for being magical, but it's actually like
that's more of an elf thing.
System through pressure.
Like the sump pump on this anvil is out of this world. Yeah, I like that. So and then all of it's kind of like a good central meeting place. So like all the workers in the mine, the ones that don't spend all their time there, are always passing through Moradin's foundry as they're leaving or entering the mountain and going about their business in the town. I quite like that. It's quite symbolic.
Yeah, because you could have, like you were saying about your warehouse sections, like you could have like a section laid out for just warehouses, like the dock. Like I don't know, I was going to say docks, but I was like, no, there's no docks here.
Yeah, we're kind of up in the mountains.
Yeah, so they could be like near the outskirts of like the city, but they have like direct routes to, and you could have like your different warehouses with your different family.
So maybe
sections.
If I'm thinking of the square as a square, obviously. I'm trying to write what I'm talking about. So you got the mountain on one side, facing it is the temple. Maybe like on one of the other sides is the trade hall. No, there's roads coming off of it at like diagonal angles or something.
Yeah.
And then a lot of side streets and things because side streets. What's on the other side? Because I feel like we can go with a four-sided symbolic thing here of like the mine, the temple, the trade hall. What's the fourth thing? The brewery.
You said the brewery. You've got defenses listed here. You have like maybe like the first fort.
As maybe like a sort of citadel type thing.
Yeah, maybe like your guard, like a guard base, your police headquarters kind of thing.
The armory or something.
Yeah, well, maybe not so much the armory because I think that would probably be somewhere else or a bit more heavily guarded. But
okay. Well, if there's, I can't remember what I wrote now. The defenses. Yeah, so there's curtain walls, so maybe there are small armories sort of around in the guard towers or something around the wall, and like the main citadel is kind of maybe, I don't know. I didn't in mind have like a big kind of castle type deal in mind.
Yeah,
because
that's sort of thinking like a small fort kind of thing, like a yeah, because it's not. It's strategically placed, but it's not a place that's going to sort of like...
Maybe like a...
They're going to get overrun very easily.
Yeah, maybe like the Hall of Judgment or something. So it's kind of like a combination sort of like barracks and like police and sort of jail.
Yeah, that works.
Kind of thing. I don't know if... I don't know if that's 100%, but like a kind of like,
maybe
okay,
not.
So you've got like the four pillars are like the mine, the trade, the temple, and the just.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of justice, faith, trade, hitting stuff with pickaxes. It's the four pillars
nature.
Of the four pillars of dwarven civilization. Yeah, I think there's something to that. I'm quite happy. Or
you could have like you could maybe have it as the forges.
Oh, that's good.
The actual
so like the opposites, you've got the mountain opposite the temple and the trade hall opposite the forges.
Yeah, that works better because you've got the opposite playing off each other.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I like that actually. Awesome. And maybe there's tunnel. Yeah, obviously running a bunch of carts full of rocks through the square is probably frowned upon. So maybe there's actually tunnels underneath the square, but the square itself is more of a symbolic sort of, everybody goes through it, but like you wouldn't drive a truck through through Trafalgar Square kind of thing.
It's like, you know what it reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of, like, you know, where in Bruges, where you have the big bell at one end, and then you have
there.
Oh, it's in the film as well, in Bruges.
I haven't seen the film.
Oh, it's a good movie.
But I think my brother said about it years ago, and I was just like, yeah, I'll get around to it.
It's very funny. But basically, what it is like, you have a square, you have the church at one end, and then all around the outside are bars and restaurants and kind of things.
Yeah.
But there's no traffic that goes through the square at all.
It's like a fully pedestrianised sort of...
Yeah, it's fully pedestrianised. I think there are, like, on the outskirts for traffic, for people, tourists and things, but very, very light traffic.
Yeah. I like that thought then.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be... Yeah, the square itself is quite central, and, like, you can only walk through it.
Yeah.
Because maybe, like, Moradin helps dwarves who help themselves, i.e. on their own 2 feet or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I just pulled that out of nowhere. But you know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of frowned upon to, you know, so getting to the trade hall with a cart, you have to go in the back entrance.
Yeah, because I imagine if they're doing, like, a festival or, like, massive, like, I don't know, some religious ceremony, it would be in that square because it's directly centred to the mountain and the temple.
Yeah.
And the forge. So it's quite central. It kind of ties in with, like, religion and symbolism and all that. Yeah. Quite good.
I like it. I like that as quite a central thing, as a sort of central sort of meeting hub of the town, and maybe makes pubs a bit further out from that.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's like not far from it, but it's like
not like fully on the outskirts, but it's sort of,
it's a quiet side street somewhere.
Yeah, because it's, you know, a pub's a pub, and there's, you know, dwarves like a pub, but this is the one run by the human, so it's not. Would you have, like, pubs and restaurants, like, well, maybe not restaurants, but, like, taverns and, like,
I think food shops or...
Yeah, or, like, I think the dwarves they're not, like, humorless, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Maybe some of the priests and, like, there's most of the dwarves are going to be fairly... They're not... I'm trying to think of the way to word this.
They don't have much leisure time.
No, they in my head, I kind of think of them as, like, that they're hard workers. They like their jobs, mining and that. But when they're not, you know, when they finish work, they're not averse to going and having a good drink. You know, in fact, it would be, you know, it'd be rude not to, sort of thing.
You know, oh God. You know, the other thing we've forgotten entertainment.
Well, that was kind of why I said about the stage in Meg's pub. I kind of assumed that, I kind of assumed that sort of, in general, the taverns are going to have space for bards and things. And are you thinking more of like a sort of theatre?
I'm not just thinking bar. Well, not so much theatre, but I was more thinking of, like, I'd imagine that this place would probably have a whorehouse at least.
Oh yeah,
at least
probably. One. Everyone's got
at
one.
At least one. However, I don't know where to quite put it because we don't really want it near the.
Maybe it's sort of more on the outskirts, like so the city is more kind of like it's kind of expanded over the years.
It's near the forges.
Yeah, it's near the forge. And maybe there is, like, a bit closer to the trade road is where the more kind of stuff for, like, it's kind of seen like as here we're, you know, closer to the trade road. We cater towards the other people who aren't dwarves as well, but we also, it's a little bit more kind of liberal about, you know, just, you know, bit more kind of seedier stuff goes on in that quarter of the town.
The code word is, do you need your forge lit?
Just coming in,
and they just point in the right direction.
I'm here to get my hammer serviced. Really earning that explicit rating on iTunes. I hadn't even thought of that, though. That is quite, I mean, Yeah, sure, why not?
At least one. They're going to have at least one.
I don't think we maybe need to go into as much detail about it as we
could just mention it.
Yeah, I think
that's all.
Okay, well, pitch me a name for it then. The Hammer and Tongs. I don't know. That's the phrase, right? Going at it, hammer and tongs.
That's actually a really good name, actually.
Yeah, we'll go with that one. Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty
That's
happy.
all we need to mention about it.
Yeah. Okay. Like where's what's a dwarf name? Where's Argus tonight? Oh, he's gone down the hammer and tongs. Ooh, it's been a while. It's that time again. It's payday.
It's Friday.
I don't remember that verse in that Rebecca Black song, but okay. I'm pretty happy with the stuff we've come up for this. What do you think?
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Okay. So, that's. I'm fairly happy with that for Shalefast. So the other thing we do on these world building episodes is I want you to what we did with Eden. He pitched me they were called the members of the members of the staff were a cult that worshipped a magical staff, and they all died. But the members of the members of the staff are still keep working. So that was Eden's. They're
basically just still doing. Nobody's told them that they're all dead, and they're still doing their jobs.
So that was Eden's contribution. So I want you to pitch me something new. I did give you a bit of forewarning about this, but could be big, could something big, could be something small, could be like a random person.
I had a kind of mixed idea of like a legend linked with a town.
Okay.
And it was the legend of Ronald McDonald, the famous jester clown, who grew up in a village where all comedy was banned because of its unfortunate name. But I couldn't think of a name that was like comedy-esque.
Like the town's got a funny name, so but they've been made fun of because of it.
Yes.
So nobody like there likes the comedy.
Yeah, so all comedy was banned.
So it's kind of like McDonald's meets Footloose meets whatever funny name we can come up with. Because I like did that, think though. It's like a humorless town.
I had the whole idea that you would go to this town and it would be like someone would crack a joke and the entire room would just like look directly at them.
Completely stone-faced, but like
stone-faced. And then like, or the bartender or something would be like, "We don't do jokes here. It's our town. Nobody makes fun of us here.
Get out." Yeah.
You've been warned. And like the whole time, if they try and crack a joke, it's like a almost like mannequin-esque like twitch of a turn of a head.
They've
and
all
they
been
all just like
in like.
Yeah. So poor Ronald McDonald.
He was a funny guy.
He was amazingly funny guy.
The town's only stand-up.
Oh yeah, that like I had this whole idea that like they would try and like use like sarcasm, and they would just like, "Is that sarcasm?"
So like, even
really
like mildly humor. Yeah, anything mildly humorous, they're not happy with.
Ronald McDonald was fortunate enough to meet a trader that came to the village who quickly left.
Because it's not a very funny place to be in, is it?
No. And fortunately, that trader had brought his son along, and Ronald found joy and the love of comedy and making people laugh. He heard the other child laugh, and it was like, "What's that sound?" And forever that he was ever changed, he wanted to make some people laugh, but because his village was like, "No, we're not doing comedy.
We don't do that round here."
He left and became a famous jester that toured different capital cities around.
Well, I like it a lot. What do you want to call the town?
I don't.
Like the name itself, do you think should be like Like,
it should be a really stupid name. Like, there's a village called Twat. Seriously, there's 2 villages in Britain called Twat.
yeah.
There's one in Orkney and there's one in England somewhere.
Maybe it's called, the village is like the village of like Knobgag or something.
Oh, maybe it's just called Fart.
So every
Maybe
I
that's
quite
what
like
it's
that.
called.
Just no, it's great. It's like,
Oh, that could be what
because everybody finds farts funny.
That could be the hook, because that could be the thing that the kid's like, oh, what's this town called? And Ronald's like, oh,
Fart.
it's called Fart. And the kid laughs. And he's like, what is that? It's like, oh, it's so funny. What's funny? And that could spark the whole conversation.
I like it. I think this okay, so I like it a lot, and I think that's really good. Where do you think this village should be? Do you think it should be fairly remote? Because they don't like people coming through making jokes, or
you could probably have it off like
we've got the map here.
Yeah, maybe like a B road.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, it could be next to Potch.
Yeah, the whole kind of left-hand side is still kind of, there's no names or anything because I haven't done anything to do with the Kingdom of Ashala. Potch is there. Potch is the setting for the whenever I get round to finishing it musical episode.
And I've just given you a village called Fart.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, please don't edit this out.
No, I'm not going to edit. That was great. Maybe you see there's that little dot there. If you go down the road from Potch, sort of just to the east of Clearvane.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's Fart.
Yeah.
Do you think it's got
one road going in,
yeah,
and another road going out?
Are we spelling it like it is, or are we adding an extra T or an extra A? Maybe.
Why don't we spell it PHART?
Yeah, that's great. Fart.
Because it sounds like it is, because it's phonetic sound as well.
Yeah, but we can write it out without looking dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to update the map. Well, I have to update the Photoshop file and then re-upload it, but I love it.
Oh, that's
awesome.
brilliant.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me today for this.
Oh, it's been so much fun.
It's been fun. All right. So, we'll be back next week, which is, that's going to be Thursday, the 28th of February, with the 4th part of our Call of Cthulhu storyline. Amy's going to be on that as well as Madame Sway.
Yeah.
Yes. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time on, I think it's the 7th. I think it could be the 7th. Yeah, 7th of March with another bonus episode. We don't know what it's going to be yet. It might be another world building episode. It might be an interview. Keeping it super casual with those. In the meantime, you can get in contact with us on Twitter and Facebook, both of which we're at Pretend with Dice. And do you want to give out your Twitter?
Yeah, it's am_Quisitor or Meg the Pict.
Yeah.
I really should start using Meg as my actual name on these, because that is technically my nickname. But I should really start using it.
Yeah. It's your brand name.
Yeah, it is my brand name, because Meg is my first character, and
yeah,
I'm picked. So
yeah. But yeah, you can also email us at pretendingwithdice@outlook.com, and if you're an iTunes user, it'd be really great if you could leave us a rating and review. It all helps us to find new listeners, and it'd be really cool to just hear what you all think of the podcast and how we're doing, and what you think of these bonus episodes, and what you think of my annoying voice and stuff. So for now, that's the show. We'll see you all later.
Bye guys.